Hello, ho, ho, again, and welcome to the Daily Splat 12 Splats of Christmas. Today is video number 2, second day of Christmas, and today's subject will be elves. Yes, the Christmas elves, which work for the big guy, Mr. Santa Claus. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm just going to take this off because it's actually quite warm. Woo. Right, anyway, elves, yeah, as you all know, traditionally the Christmas stories of, Christmas Eve, anything to do with, Santa Claus, he's up in the North Pole doing his thing, and he has a giant workshop filled with these miniature sprightly creatures known as elves, with little pointy ears, generally wearing green and building toys. Now, I'm just curious to see the image we have of the elves with Mr. Claus and Mrs. Claus and how they work. They're there on Christmas Eve still working away, putting together some wooden toy train sets and loading everything up into Santa's sack as he prepares to go off in the sleigh with his reindeer and all that, right? Is that not an outdated image now? Is just what I'd like to know. Not in terms of that it's not traditional, it's lovely and traditional, but if there were elves up in Lapland or the North Pole or wherever his house is, and they're working, surely they would need, well, for starters, more than hammering bits of wood. I mean, the most popular presents these days are electronic. They'd probably need to have a good knowledge of, well, electronics to begin with. They'd also need to be able to mould plastic into specific shapes and things of that nature. They'd probably have to also create all sorts of MP3 type devices, lots of iPhones or iPads or, I suppose Android phones, whatever people have. They've got to go out there and create laptops and PlayStations and Xboxes and all that sort of thing. They've got to be pretty up on the, pretty up to date on the electronical thing, because of course they're definitely making every gift. That's what they do. So my thinking then is Santa has to hire elves with a good, advanced knowledge of electrical engineering and skills in creating. Let's go with the PlayStation, for example. If they're going to create a PlayStation 3, working all the memory, can play all the games. Remember, they've got to make the games as well, the discs and all that. They've got to program all this stuff and use the machinery. Now, they're going to need a bit more than a block of wood and a hammer, which is their traditional thing. Why are we not being shown these modern elves, these elves who work in this thing? And I think it's because, just between you and me, I'm not entirely sure they're being treated that well. Now, obviously, it's hard being an elf in a modern world. For starters, most people don't think you exist, so it's quite hard to get a job when employers just don't believe you. I'd like to work at this butcher. You're a figment of my imagination. It's not going to happen. So that could be quite difficult. So they really don't have much choice aside from working for Santa, which means Santa can pretty much charge any pay that he wants, and I'm imagining he's probably worse than Nestle in terms of his exploitation of the elf market. There probably are a few elves who are quite clever and able to go, yes, we put all this stuff together and it creates a magical robot dog, or whatever it is kids buy these days, I don't know. But the majority of them, I'm imagining, are almost like a slave workforce, just hammering away at, well, maybe not wooden trains anymore, but, hammering phone cases into place or that sort of thing. I don't know. I could be wrong. I am obviously forgetting that it's magic, and that, of course, the elves will have a little bit of magic, and Santa can supply his magic, and then, of course, there's the magic of the miracle of the occasion, which fuels their good spirits. And they might be able to just magic something up. Who knows? Anyway, but yes, elves are very sorely misrepresented, I feel, in the whole Christmas tradition, with the exception of the film Elf, starring Will Ferrell, they pretty much get ignored. They just sort of bit part characters, you know, byproducts of the story. It's normally always on the big fat red guy, or sometimes his wife, or a reindeer with like a strange luminous nostril or something like that. The elves very rarely get the focus. So this year, when you're you know, thanking Santa for your gifts, children, make sure to thank the elves as well, because I'm not sure they're getting the thanks that they truly warrant. Okay? That is all for today's Daily Splat. Tune in tomorrow when we'll be discussing another topic. What will it be? Mistletoe, reindeers, mince pies? Don't know yet. Haven't thought about it, but you'll find out tomorrow. Until then, bye-bye.